what is the world if it's not a good story? And
Hmm.
I work with a lot of producers of wine and spirits and food who talk about the technical things about their product and why it's so different and better than everybody else's. And I'm like, okay, that's good. That's fine. That sets you out. But all people want to hear are really good, exciting, fun stories.
Three things you will learn from this episode today. Number one, how embracing sensory awareness can unlock new levels of creativity and innovation. Number two, the mindset shift that turned life without sight into a vision for entrepreneurship, leadership, and impact. And number three, how to lead inclusively and build a world where seeming disadvantage can create possibility. Welcome to this episode of the Heartbeat for Hire podcast. I feature Olympians, CEOs, disruptors, authors, professional athletes, and the best of the best, where they share their stories of resilience with my lens on leadership and culture. Let's get started. What do you get when you combine a blind chemist with a PhD in organic chemistry, a sensory expert with a palate that can decode the world, an entrepreneur and co-founder shaping industries from wine to marketing, a mentor and advocate recognized by President Obama as a champion of change? You get Dr. Hoby Wedler, a fearless innovator proving that barriers are just invitations to lead differently. Dr. Hoby is a blind chemist, entrepreneur, and sensory expert with a gift for helping people see new possibilities. A PhD in organic chemistry and a passion for innovation fuel his work across industries, from co-founding SensePoint, a creative marketing firm, to developing Tasting in the Dark, a blindfolded wine experience that's captivated audiences worldwide. He's been named a champion of change by President Obama, a Forbes 30 under 30 leader, a 40 under 40 tastemaker by wine enthusiasts, and his fearless approach to life and business inspires others to break barriers, embrace inclusion, and lead with purpose. And that was a mouthful. Welcome to the show, Dr. Hovey.
Oh my gosh, Lindsay, I'm so honored to be here with you. I That introduction is very flattering, and I'm just so excited because the appreciation for each other's work is so mutual. I When I heard about your journey and how you got to starting Heartbeat for Hire, I was just so excited and enamored. I really
Oh,
think that you're doing the thing your way. You're living the real deal, and you are an incredible leader
oh,
yourself. So it's
that is so lovely. Thank you
a
for
blessing
saying.
to talk to you today.
I've been looking forward to this for a while, so this is going to be fun.
That
So,
makes two of us.
for those that don't know you, will you be so kind to share a little bit of your story?
Yeah, no, thank you so much for the opportunity. So it's interesting. I was born totally blind. My parents had no idea what that was like because all their genetic testing came out totally clear. Ed was going to be born a perfectly normal baby, and I was born. It's like, oh, yeah, there's something wrong with his eyes. He's going to be blind. That's what they were told like 5 seconds by the obstetrician after I was born. And my parents are super innovative, amazing thinkers, but they didn't know blind people, right?
Mm.
They like didn't have, I think my dad helped a guy across the street when he lived in San Francisco during the 70s. I think my mom maybe met one blind person in her career, and my mom was so devastated. It's like, oh my God, what are we going to do about this? So she called her great friend from college, Barb Morgan, and Barb's husband picked up the phone and said, "Oh, it sounds like Hobie was born." And then all my mom's friend could hear was, "Oh no, that's so terrible. This is going to be so hard. How are we going to deal with this?" And Barb, wanting to know the story directly from the horse's mouth, so to speak, grabbed the phone from her husband and said, What's going on? What's the deal?" And my mom got on the phone and said, "Oh, well, Hobie was born, but he's blind." And Barb's response to that when I was probably 12 hours old was, "Oh, thank God. I thought you were going to say he was dead." So
Oh,
if I ever write a book, it's going to be called "I'd Rather Be Blind Than Dead."
yeah, that's
And,
beautiful.
and you know what's funny about that, Lindsay, is that Barb was totally okay with blindness
Hmm.
because she grew up, her father's best friend, her father's a was a psychology professor at Arizona State University, and his best friend was a guy named John Hudson, another psychology professor who just so happened to be blind.
Mm.
So when Barb was a little girl, John would come over to their house with his guide dog, and he was super mechanical. Like he was handy, right? And not no offense, but I don't know if Barb's dad was as handy as John. And John, whenever their dishwasher broke or sink was leaking or washing machine had trouble or cars had trouble, call John. So she grew up with this guy who walked around with a dog and you had to show
To
him
do
things with his
anything.
hands he
Yeah.
couldn't see. But that was like not a big deal. It was like as simple as having brown eyes.
Mm,
And I'm so glad my parents heard that day one and totally embraced it and never lowered the bar.
love it.
They always have had, and still to this day, have super high expectations of me and my work and what I can do. Not what I can't do, but what I
Mm,
can do. And that is the incredible innovation that they need to have that motivates them and motivates me. They also taught me and my sighted brother, who's 2 years older, a very important lesson, which is this is your life. And whatever happens in your life, you need to take responsibility for. If you
mm,
succeed, that's great. You deserve the credit. But don't make it so someone else deserves the credit for your success. And if you fail, guess what? You got to take the blame for it. So it's real life responsibility, right? Having super high expectations. I had chores, plenty of them, just like my sighted brother. They told me that you're going to have to work harder as a blind person in the sighted world. They were not wrong about that
mm.
and taught me and my brother good work ethic. Uh, Maybe a little too good of work ethic. I can't seem to stop working, which is okay. When I was 9 or 10 years old, my job was to cook meals for the house. I was the cook, or I called myself the chef. Um, we grew a huge garden and I just loved, I knew where every plant, vegetable, tomato plant, fruit tree was. And I would go out in the garden and harvest and prepare these great meals. Like one of the main things I prepared were big pots of soups and stews that we would freeze in smaller containers and then either use as an easy weeknight meal or as a lunch,
Mm,
to escape the less healthy eating out alternative, right?
mhm.
And what I realized, it was a chore then. I had fun with it, no doubt, but it was a chore. And what I realized, Lindsay, is that for me, I was creating flavor combinations and aroma
Mm,
combinations and learning what worked together in my soup pot and what didn't work together. Just like my sighted peers were maybe drawing on etch-a-sketches and doing their little visual art thing and learning what colors worked well together and what colors didn't. So I was doing my art in my way, and they were doing their art in their way.
I love it.
And it's just this beautiful thing. And then come high school, I just found that I had a knack for chemistry and got into honors chemistry. Had a great instructor there who thought that it was cool that I liked chemistry, but thought that chemistry was impractical for me to pursue further until I said, nobody can see atoms. And she said, oh, that's interesting. I guess you're right about that. Chemistry is a cerebral science. And she became a total ally. So needless to say, my goal, I've always had the heart of a teacher. I love not to profess things and get
Yeah.
people, oh, excited about this guy knows so much. That's not the point. I just want to get people excited about things in life that they weren't excited
Mm,
about before. And I thought my avenue for that was going to be through chemistry. So my goal was to teach freshman chemistry, not upper division organic or inorganic chemistry for undergrads. I didn't want to teach grad students. I wanted to take students who were 18, freshmen in college, or as I call them, high schoolers plus 3 months, and show them after a long weekend of partying at 8 a.m. on a Monday morning that chemistry was more than this boring prerequisite that they have to get through to study what they really want to study. So
mm,
that led me, because I wanted to teach at the college level, that led me to um, earning a PhD in organic chemistry. And while I was doing that, I had the honor of teaching several general chemistry classes with
mhm.
300 to 500 students in the lecture hall. People liked the fact that I really wanted to do that. And I learned there that people didn't necessarily speak chemistry, but I still had the heart of a teacher. And I thought, okay, if the chemistry teaching isn't necessarily my career, what is? And Lindsay, I was able to carve out a niche for myself after Francis Ford Coppola called me and asked me to design truly blindfolded wine experiences, tasting in the dark for him in 2011. I had my aha moment. So I was just starting graduate school actually, but I had my aha moment that I love teaching people who typically use their eyesight to obtain 85 to 90% of the information in their surroundings, which means they
Yeah.
have four perfectly good additional senses to take in only 10 to 15% of the information around them. When we take that dominant sense away, their mindset changes and they're able to focus differently on what's in the glass or what bite they're taking. And this got expanded to many industries and markets throughout the world because it caught on so well. And I realized that I'm able to teach in that regard.
Mm.
That led me to a journey along the path of product development where I get to use my lab chemistry every day, working in industry, developing products, scaling up recipes, or designing new recipes for non-existent products across the food and beverage industry. I love that work. Had some really fun successes there. And
Well,
just,
and
I don't
let me
know,
pause because I want to dig in on some of this before we go too far.
dig
So
in. Yeah,
that
sorry, I'm
this
just
is
a blabbermouth.
no,
So
I love the story. It's so exciting. And I'll tell you my first experience with blind people in just a moment. But um, how you and I met is through the Outlier Project, but also through our mutual friend, Jackie Summers. And
absolutely.
Jackie, I adore. He's been on the show. And if you haven't listened to his episode, go listen to it. It's all about
Do
his
it.
award-winning liqueur called Sorel. And you played a pretty significant role for him. Can you talk about what that was?
Absolutely, yeah. So Sorel was a product that was made in a 180-gallon tea kettle where a
Mhm.
bunch of spices were, and it's delicious. Jackie, my hat is
So
off to
good.
Jackie. He's the first person to create a shelf-stable version of Sorel, but they had big filtration problems. So we came in and we figured out a new formula that right now still uses a kettle for four out of the five botanicals. But the main thing in Sorel, we were able to find hibiscus powder and
Mm.
basically chemically design the right powder that we needed so that we didn't need to literally steep about 80 pounds of dried hibiscus flowers in boiling water for a long time and then pull them out. So now we use a powder and it works absolutely brilliantly. I think the product's a little bit better. And Sorel is now the most awarded American liqueur of all time. And it's like
No.
the fact that we work together and are still working super hard together. We're building new recipes. We're continually designing and tweaking the recipe of Sorel. And this is like, we started early 2022 and we're still going strong. And, you know, that's a hugely exciting project because Jackie said, you do you, and I'll
Hmm.
support. And it was super humbling and kind of him to do that. And I don't know. I don't know, Lindsay. I love working with great folks like him, the licensed black
Yes.
distiller in
Yes.
the United States. And, just helping his vision shine is just sort of what I love.
Well, Jackie is a great leader in that he knows how to lift others up and
He
help them do
does.
the jobs that they were intended to do. And you clearly knew your stuff better than he ever could, and he understood how valuable that would be. And that's what great leaders do. So here's a little story. You'll get a chuckle out of this. So, when I was about 5 or 6 years old, I used to go into Manhattan to my dad's office at IBM, at 590 Madison. And
Yeah.
I remember he was selling typewriters then, so it was a long time ago. And at the time, IBM was super, super diverse and really an interesting place to work. And at the time, he had two secretaries who had the same name, Carol and Carol, or Barbara and Barbara, and I couldn't
Yeah.
remember what they were, but he said, I'm going to introduce you to, my two secretaries. And I said, okay. And he said, I just want to warn you, they're both blind. And I went, oh, okay. And I'm 5 or 6, so I don't care. Like I would that they could be wearing blue. Like that doesn't mean anything to me.
Right.
It was whatever. And so I walk in and it's kind of a dimly lit room and they have screen readers and this is really interesting to look at. And I walk in and I'm kind of looking around and they said, Hi, Lindsay. And I look at my dad and I go, You said they were blind. And they go, We're not deaf. And I'm like, Oh. And, and I got such a chuckle out of it because I'm, of course, didn't realize like the sound of my footsteps or, that
Right.
I had a different cadence in my walk or the way I was standing and you know, it was just a funny moment as a kid, but it was very, very normal. And,
And
I just,
blindness was normalized to you as just a trait. And this
Yeah.
is one of the main things that I want people to understand. I love that story. For me, my blindness is just like having brown eyes or blue eyes. It's a trait,
Yeah.
something I just embody and embrace.
Well,
And that's
I
it.
I know this about you because I got to listen to you with Outlier, but you have never let blindness limit you, stop you from traveling, stop you from experiencing the world. And I mean, you are an avid traveler. So you were, I think, at last check, you were filming a new TV series in Hawaii. Is that right?
We were, yeah, I'm launching a YouTube show all about travel and history and culture around the world with food and drink as a lens. And we just recorded our pilot.
I love it. I think it's so, so exciting. So we'll
Thank
talk
you.
about that in a second because I do want people to check it out.
Thank
But
you.
I really wanted to dig in a little more on what is a day to day for you like? What are you working on now? What are the things
Yeah.
that really get you out of bed in the morning?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And for me, it's always building on things that have happened that are successful. You know, we all have successes, we all have failures, but trying to really embrace those successes and take them to the next level is really what motivates me. And that's at a very high level. And if we swoop down a little bit into that, um, I'm really building out and formalizing my Tasting in the Dark experience design program, creating great brand collaborations right now, really trying to build my product development work in the food and bev industry across really any sector, from consumable packaged goods to alcoholic beverage and non-alcoholic beverage. We've worked in all of them. And, really building that. So for me, I when I get up in the morning, I think about, okay, what are the things that need to get done? I check email, I go through all that, and then it's like, how can I, what can I do today to sort of move the needle
Hmm.
where when I'm done with the day, I feel like, okay, I got something done. And right, my partner, just an amazing person, Justin Vallandigham, who's my business and life partner for many, many years now, life partner before business partner, gave me a lot of very strong encouragement to get my content and basically to, let me say that again. He gave me a lot of strong encouragement to show the world how I think about what I'm tasting, smelling, feeling in nature,
Yeah.
experiencing all around me. So I've been really homing in on, and this is new to me. Lyndsay, we started in April of 2025 with 7,000 followers, and we just hit 404 this morning, 404,000. So it's this big, like, weird thing for me of like, I'm so new to the world as a creator,
Yeah.
but I'm embracing it because people seem to dig it.
But you know
And
what they dig, Hobie? Not only do they dig your incredible palette, but the way you paint a picture with your words is so exciting. And
thank you.
I watched a video of you eating wasabi, like real wasabi. And, most people would be like, "Whoo, it's hot," and that would be full stop. Like that's all they would say.
Sure.
And you kind of dug into all of the different things you tasted and what made it so different than horseradish. And I just think that's such a gift. And I think that's what people are really digging because they're
No.
thinking about something tasting very differently than a way they would describe it normally.
And I just like to allow people to understand how my brain works and how I think,
Yeah.
which is, my brain thinks about things that I wouldn't talk about on social media as well, that's for sure. But and I mean that in the nicest possible way.
No, no, we're all guilty of that.
We're all depressed. We all feel depressed sometimes. We're
Sure.
human, right? But it's about embracing those things that we all can live and enjoy. And,
Yeah.
what is the world if it's not a good story? And
Hmm.
I work with a lot of producers of wine and spirits and food who talk about the technical things about their product and why it's so different and better than everybody else's. And I'm like, okay, that's good. That's fine. That sets you out. But all people want to hear are really good, exciting, fun stories.
Hmm.
And for me, it's like, why can't we just normalize the world by talking about beauty and all these things that I like to talk about, but
Yeah.
tell good stories along the way. I mean, I just did a video on tomatoes, and when I do a little bit of research for these videos, I learn so much.
I
Like
bet.
in tomatoes are a fruit, but we use them
Hmm.
in savory dishes. And in 1893, the Supreme Court of the United States had to decide whether a tomato was a vegetable or a fruit for tax purposes. And guess what? It
It's a
has
fruit.
seeds. All the biologists classify it as a fruit. It's a darn fruit,
Oh my
but
God.
they decided that because they ate it on burgers and in a savory manner, it was a vegetable. So from then on, that has not been overturned. The tomato is a vegetable.
That
And it's like little tidbits like that that I don't know, I love.
That's so
And
fun.
and my way of life is it's like if something if you can laugh about something 6 months from now, you might as well laugh about it now.
Right?
And
Oh, I love
being a
that.
blind guy in a sighted world, like there's a lot of things. It's like, God darn it, why did that happen? Why did I do that? Well, you know what? Let me laugh about it.
Yeah. Well, laughing at
And
yourself is the best way to live, number one. But
yeah,
talking in story is, I mean, this is why I have the show. This is why I do this. This is how I sold. It's whenever you can tell a story, that's what's going to make it memorable,
you
not the
got to.
statistics you spewed off that as soon as they leave the room, they're not retaining.
Nobody cares. And,
So,
and my goal is to create things, and this is what Tasting in the Dark has done really well. I create opportunities that folks remember, that are everlasting. And I think that's how you do your work
yeah.
and why you've been so successful in corporate America and now with Heartbeat for Hire is you present, you're awesome, you're chill, and you're memorable.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about mindset? Because I know you work with a lot of different business owners and founders and, C-suite leaders who have their ideas of success and the way to move through the world. What has been the most consistent positive thing you've noticed about mindset with these leaders?
Yeah, I think that the most consistent sort of aspect of people who lead really well and do well is they have an open mindset. So nothing is a huge problem. Whether a company has low sales for a month or some crisis occurs that they really have to deal with that could really tarnish their reputation, they don't get agitated. They just approach it with both feet forward. They're level-headed. And the other aspect of leaders that I think that embodies positive mindset is listening well.
Mm.
If we can listen well and really hear what people are saying, not just listen to them, but hear them and take in what they say and use that to their advantage, our advantage, however you want to frame it, to solve problems. Those are the people who win. And I really do feel, Lyndsay, like so many people who are a little younger than me, and I'm a millennial myself. I don't like to admit it, but I am. And a lot of people are losing the knack of listening.
Yeah.
And I think it's such an important thing. You did it, I did it, sitting around the table, talking, listening, responding, and really embracing and hearing, and then being able to respond productively. And I think social media has been a place where people can sort of seal themselves off
Yes.
and basically get to know people through this little device in their hand called a cell phone, a smartphone. And I just don't think it's good for people. So when I took my partner's advice and started posting to Instagram, my one rule to myself is I am not going to make this content doom scrollable. I
Mm.
want to make it something that people who don't necessarily know how to listen find it interesting enough that they'll listen and
Yeah.
pay attention. All the leaders I know who are really good leaders take input from a variety of sources and then make their decision. And they're not afraid. The other thing in business, and this is really important to say, is it's easier said than done. It's hard to take everything as just all business. Nothing is personal. If someone doesn't appreciate something, they should tell someone about it, and it's not personal. It's
Hmm.
just professional.
Well, that's interesting. I don't know that many people can take it that way.
And I have a hard time. So do as I
Oh,
say, not as I do. But
yeah, but a lot of people, because it's their blood, sweat, and tears, they have a very
yeah,
hard time with not taking things personally. But I think as a leader, you have to come to the table with the idea that you aren't the smartest one in the room.
that's it.
And I always said this every time I led a team. And some of you have been doing this longer than me. Some of you have just got here, but regardless, you all have fresh ideas that need to be embraced and need to be listened to. And
That's it.
it really can move the needle when you can create an environment for that to thrive. All right, so sit tight for 30 seconds. We're going to come right back with some more questions. So hang on just a moment, Obi. If you like the stories you hear every week on this show, guess what? I have hundreds more from my nearly 30 years in the leadership trenches. And I don't just talk about building irresistible culture, I do it. You can bring me into Keynote, moderate your panels, or work directly with your leaders to drive material change. So let's roll up our sleeves, go out to heartbeatforhire.com, let's connect, and let's make some magic happen. Go lead with heart. Welcome back. All right, we got some more questions, Hovia. Here's one of my favorites. What inspires you?
What inspires me? Curiosity
Mm,
inspires me. When I was 3 years old, I remember standing, listening to the trash truck drive up our country road and listening to this huge machine that came by my house every Thursday was so interesting that I befriended the driver
mm,
and got to learn everything about this truck. And the driver to this day, I'm 38 now, is still a dear friend. And
that's so
it's just
nice.
I was so curious, and it drove me to want to discover and learn. So I got a tour of the refuse company early on. I think I was 5 or 6 years old, just learning about all the different trucks, how they worked. Sorry, that's a bird clock. How they fit together. It was just like I was inspired by that and curiosity about flavor and curiosity about chemistry. I really, what inspires me is just being innately curious. And I want everybody to not only be curious, but I want people to love life and embrace what hand they were dealt. I don't care what it is. I just want people to learn to love life and embrace everything in a way that makes them feel good.
I love that.
That's what inspires me in everything that I do is making sure that folks who I surround myself with not A, love their life,
Hmm.
but B, just know how to have a way where they can learn and think and be happy about what they learn. A
Hmm.
lot of people are upset because their back might hurt. Well, my back hurts too, but we make the most of it. We figure out how to
Yeah.
do things in spite of that.
Yeah.
Blindness would be one of those things that upsets people. To me, my blindness, I don't care. I don't ever want to see in my life because
Yeah.
I'd have to relearn the world. I'm
Yeah.
so happy with the world the way that I know it. And a lot of people think it's a setback, but what inspires me is showing people and helping people understand that whatever things they have in their life that might feel like setbacks, if you really think about it, are huge
Mm.
advantages. And
So
the
you,
only
you,
way to embrace those is with curiosity.
well, you gave a perfect segue to my next question, which is what would you like your legacy to be?
That's a really good question. So when I think of the term legacy, I think about, okay, what would I want said about me when people are drinking at a cocktail party around little round
Yes.
stand-up tables? That's legacy to me.
Yeah.
And I guess what I would want people to say is he didn't seem like he was ever disadvantaged. He just led a good life and, embraced life to the fullest and went out there and did his thing. And I live every day like it's my last
Yeah.
because none of us know when the last one's coming. I hate to say
100%.
it,
So true.
but it can happen to all of us. And I'll
Well,
tell
and
you,
it will happen to all of us.
it will, unfortunately. If I, uh, if I died tomorrow, I'd be super proud of the life I lived and the experiences I've had. And I feel like, money's nice to have for comfort, but I'm an entrepreneur and I want to solve problems and help people be happier. I don't need to make a bunch of money and make this happen. Sure, I need to pay my bills, but
Right.
for me, being in business and being a leader is about making the world a little bit of a better place than you left it. And I really think experience is the only thing we take to the grave with us. So embrace every life experience, everything you have going on, and just treat it as a huge, amazing positive.
Love it. I love it. So, what is next for you? And can you just give like a tiny morsel of what these beautiful dinners are that you've created?
Beautiful dinners. Hang on, sorry.
No, the Francis Ford Coppola, the blind tasting
Oh,
dinner.
tastings in the dark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tastings
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
dark.
yeah. Okay. I explicitly, yeah, no, that's a great question. So what's next for me right now is for 25 years, I mentioned it earlier briefly, I've had a burning passion and desire to do long form content where I help people understand the world the way that I do. So we're launching, and I'm not going to release the name yet, we're
Mhm.
launching a long form show in the next couple weeks all about travel, culture, and history around the world using food and drink as a lens. So think Anthony Bourdain, but Hoby style is kind of how I like to think of it. I'm not
So
anywhere near
cool.
Anthony Bourdain. I'm
Oh, I'm
totally
such a fan
different.
of his.
Oh, I love him. That's the way that I like to sort of present it and think about it. So I'll just tell you, I want to, if I'm going to talk about coffee, I want to go to origin, show people how coffee grows in Ethiopia,
Hmm.
show that there's actually cascara, which is a fruit material that grows around coffee beans, and it's called a coffee cherry. How do
Hmm.
we break away that cascara? How do we roast coffee? And coffee is so much more than this beverage that we have that we get at our local coffee shop every day. Those amazing coffee shops do great work, but where did it all come from? And it's
Hmm.
driving that curiosity in people. I just had a chat this morning with a gentleman by the name of Gus Gamba here in Sonoma County, California, where I'm from. He's a sixth generation Italian winemaker
Mm.
and doing this amazing work. And he just lives life the way that I like to live it. He grew up with a big garden and an amazing family, and his parents both immigrated to the United States from Italy just before he was born, and found themselves in the United States. And it's just these stories that I want to tell about the family passion behind the stuff that we pour in our glass that we might call wine. To
Mm.
me, it's about where did it all start? Where did it all
Hmm.
come from? And why are people doing things the way this way? What's the history behind it? And what's the science behind it? And what are the stories we can tell? And to answer your question about tasting in the dark, I deliberately don't like to make people use a fork or anything like that because I just temporarily remove eyesight. There are experiences called dining in the dark where you have to
Hmm.
eat off a plate and learn how to do that. People don't learn quickly. They've been sighted their whole life. They're blind
Right.
for 10 minutes and it's like use this fork and eat this steak. No, I don't want to, I don't have those kinds of expectations of people. And then it becomes you're a hero because you didn't spill on yourself. And there's a photo booth at the end. And I don't know. For me, it's about changing perception. When people sit down at the table and don their blindfolds, they can hear wine being poured. And I never pour anything before the blindfolds go down because people like to cheat and see what they're tasting. And
Mm.
it's that's happening. We talk about the beverage, whether it's wine or whiskey, or if we're doing a food experience about the farms that produce this great food. I just did an experience in May for the um, several state beef councils talking about beef as a healthy ingredient when paired with other things. And we talked about the art and science of cattle farming and told some
Mm.
great stories of families who have been doing it for centuries in this country and just made people feel at ease with this amazing industry of cattle farming and beef raising, beef rearing. And it disarms people. It puts them in a place where then we usually have them smell different aroma samples that smell will be present in the things that they're tasting.
Mm.
And we just try to normalize everything. And then they taste and we talk about the smell and then eventually the flavor of each and every component they're tasting and just make it this really exciting, wonderful thing.
Ugh, oh
That's,
my gosh, I would love to come. Next
I
time you're in
want you. I
Boston,
want you
you
to
let me
come.
know.
I will let you know.
I am in.
It would be
So,
incredible.
Hobie, how can people find you?
My socials are really easy. It's at Hoby Wedler on Facebook, which is HOBYWEDLER on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. My email is super easy. It's Hoby@Hoby.com. Email me. Don't be a stranger. I want to get in touch with you. I feel like my life is richer the more people I know.
No,
Reach
Hobie, we
out.
have that in common. We collect people, and
I collect people.
I collect people, and I like to make memories, and that is
Yes.
so much of why I wanted to have you on the show.
Uh,
I could listen to you for hours, and I'm so glad we are friends. So thank you so much for sharing your heart and your wisdom with this audience. It's just been awesome.
Lyndsay, right back at you. It's been an absolute honor to chat with you. I love what you're doing. I love this podcast.
Thank
I'm going to get others excited about your podcast. I'm going to
you.
bring you more people,
I love
and
it.
let's just keep this party going.
You got it. All right, guys, stay tuned. We got an audience question coming right up. Dr. Hobie, you're the best. And I'm so glad you were here. So hang tight, y'all.
Thank you so much. And remember, three things. I just want to close with this. Everyone who does work in this world or who does anything in this world, you're not alone. You are together with other people who can help you. But as long as you deliver your personal best, you are enough. Don't forget that. And number three, we are all amazing. And I want to encourage every one of you to find your superpower and dig into it.
Yes, beautifully said. Thank you, friend. All right, hang on,
Thank you.
y'all. We got another question coming right up. Today's audience question is, how can I tell if my culture is suffering? Well, I'll give you a few good ones. You could be having a team meeting, and the people that were once very vocal and were once volunteering and raising their hands are now being quiet. You can read the energy in the room. If you see people kind of looking at each other and not raising their hand and being still, that's a good indication. And if you're not getting a whole lot of attention from other teams and people are just generally unhappy, all of this should tell you you need to make some changes. And we talk a lot about this on this show about how to do that and where to start. One of the easiest things is to start celebrating people. So start lifting people up, recognize them for what they're doing, and check in. Make sure you are having these regular checkpoints with your people. An annual review is never, ever enough. You should be meeting with your people at the minimum every month. You should be talking to them about what their goals are, and you should know. And if you don't know, that's a problem. And that's something you have to fix as a leader. But you can generally tell. And you should also check other leaders. Ask them, hey, any feedback on what you're seeing? Are you hearing anything about my team? This requires you to have some humility and some thick skin. Because if you've done something wrong, or if you've said something embarrassing or potentially alarming to someone, they may shut down. And it doesn't take a lot to do that. So have a great day. Lead with heart. Thank you for listening. Tell your friends. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you aren't already there. Go leave a 5-star review at Apple or Spotify. I am so grateful for you listening each and every week. Thank you so much. Have the best day and take care of each other. Thanks for listening to this episode of Heartbeat for Hire. I hope you enjoyed what you heard. If you did, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or consider leaving a 5-star review and a great rating at Spotify or Apple. Thank you so much for your support. Have a great day.